right, welcome back everybody. Today, very exciting project. It's one that I've been requested a lot to cover. It's Enjin, ticker ENJ. Very excited to talk about this. One of the first metaverse and crypto gaming projects I've covered. So have a lot to cover today. We're going to dive into chart analysis, price analysis, and then some short-term, long-term price predictions, and then cap it off with some bullish news and overall fundamental analysis of Enjin. So let's hop right in. First chart I want to talk about today, guys, excuse me, is the daily candle chart. And specifically, we're looking from the time frame of April to present day, essentially. And what I want to point out here, and some of you guys may already see this, is we have a beautiful cup and handle forming right here. There's the cup and then the handle. And what we're seeing right now, and why I'm putting this video out right now, why it's so critical, is we're actually seeing a potential bounce off of our cup and handle support. So typically how you want to look at a cup and handle is a long consolidation period. Here we have about a 7-month consolidation period. The longer consolidation, typically the stronger the breakout. And then we want to look at the height of the cup before we dip, and then the height of the cup when we return to that same price line. And then what happens is that price that forms the kind of edges of the cup, that becomes our theoretical support before we break out to the upside. So right now, we're bouncing off this critical point of about $3.50, give or take a couple cents. And if we are able to bounce off of that, we could be seeing a serious breakout coming for Enjin here in the next few weeks. So very excited. Wanted to just show this kind of macro view of the chart before we dive in to get a little bit more granular, so you guys understand the context of kind of where we're at and why we're expecting somewhat of a bullish breakout pretty shortly here. So now we're going to get a little bit more granular. As I said, we're going to dive into the 4-hour chart. We're going to look at some fib levels, going to look at some chart analysis. So to look at how we got here, first off, we had a pretty solid November. We saw this kind of falling wedge in the beginning of November develop. Out of that falling wedge, we pop up nicely to about $4.80. And now since about Thanksgiving, give or take, we've fallen about 30%. And we've seen a lot of projects that I've talked about recently do this, specifically altcoins. Some are falling at different rates, but generally, we've seen 30 to 50% retracement, which is honestly healthy because now we're putting in these, critical support levels. So when we end up going higher, we can fall back here and maybe catch, one of these instead. So it's all good, and nothing to worry about right now, especially when you take a macro look on it. So couple things I want to talk about right here. Over the last week or so, as we've retraced about 30 to 40%, we've also developed a nice little falling wedge here. And typically that is a bullish pattern. Not always, but more often than not, that is a bullish signal. Right now, what's happening is we're battling this key fib level of $3.50, like I said, and we've seen kind of a dip below, then a bounce, then we've retraced it, tried to get above this fib at $3.76, but we've been bouncing off of this pretty consistently, and we haven't been, convincingly below this level, since a couple weeks back. So that is kind of the key level we're looking at right now, $3.50, maybe slightly below. And if we do break below this, I would expect a retracement just above this next fib. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but you always need to be prepared for a downside movement. That could happen. That's if we do not convincingly hold this $3.50 level. So we want to see a little bit more consolidation here. I'm totally fine with more consolidation. Typically, patience always pays off in these charts. So I wouldn't be surprised if we move a little bit sideways, over the next few days, maybe weeks. And then kind of look to convincingly break above this fib and then start riding these up back to this area of $4.80. So having talked about that, I want to kind of get into not only where we're going to be going in the next few weeks, but also long term. And before we do that, one more thing I want to talk about on why this is kind of looking bullish right now. So we talked about the falling wedge, we talked about the cup and handle. The other thing I wanted to touch on is the moving averages. So particularly the 50-day and the 100-day. So if we see here, every time the 50-day, and then sometimes the 100-day accompanies it, but typically, every time we go above that 50-day, you can see this, or sorry, every time the 50-day goes above the chart, shortly after we see a pretty solid move to the upside. So in one way or another, I try to think of it as the chart's realizing that the price needs to be higher, that the price that it's at under the 50-day moving average isn't the actual reflective value of it. So it kind of retraces back to the upside to reflect the value, and then kind of off of that momentum, typically we see, a ride to the upside. So we've seen it multiple times. We see it here, boom, 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 and that actually rides us all the way up there. But we're seeing it right here again. So we've now been above the 50 days been above the chart now for, half of a week or so. And these times it's about, a week, give or take a few days. So that's why I'm kind of talking about, hey, let's watch out in the next week or two. This isn't going to pump right after I put this out. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time still, but just something to keep your eyes out, and another reason why we're looking really bullish. But something to kind of cover on now for short term, just to kind of refresh here. Again, we're battling this $3.50 fib level. We need to stay on top of this. If we go back down here, we may retrace down to this level. I don't think that's going to happen. I'd rather see a consolidation and then we stand on these. And the next really key level is going to be breaking back to this high of $4.80 and then $5. So we need to get back up to that $5 range to convincingly see a convincing break to the upside and to see some serious gains. But right now, short term, and when I say short term, I'm talking about next few days, next couple weeks, we have to stand on top of $3.50, and then we need to convincingly break above kind of the $4 area. $4 has been, also a psychological resistance. So, you can kind of see that we kind of tap it every time we come down. We test it again here. We try to go up for it here a little bit. And so I think $4 becomes the kind of, okay, Enjin is back in a gear kind of time, dollar amount. Because if we look at that, that's a 20-ish% movement from here. And that's, would be a few solid days of gains, maybe even, a day or two or 10%. And that, in terms of momentum is huge. And that's when we can start to see a breakout above the upside. So I think we see serious resistance at $4, and then we see serious resistance again before $5, right around $4.80. And then after that, we want to stand on $4.09. And then we're going to likely play between $5 and $6.40 here for a while before going to the upside further. Now I kind of just want to touch on where we might be going in the long term in terms of end of cycle prediction, now that we've covered short term. So if we take a look at kind of this last pump, from our base, let's see, $1, $1.20, $1.30, we saw from there to this spot between a 4 and 5x. Okay, so that was between a 4 and 5x. And we're seeing a lot of the patterns replicate. So like what I mean by that is the cup and handle, and then the 50-day moving above the charts. We're seeing a lot of these patterns come back into play. And so I wouldn't be shocked if we replicate a 4 to 5x from our current positioning, because that would assume, from this retracement, we put our bottom in and then move to the upside. And that would be this spot. We went to the upside, regress, put our bottom in, and then fly. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, a 4 to 5x. And interestingly enough, the top of this fib extension would be right around that. So, between, it's more like here would be the floor that I'd be looking at. So this is about $12. Excuse my terrible drawing. That would be about $12. And then I think, you know, we can play between 12 and 15 conservatively for end of cycle. And obviously, or not X, sorry, 12 to 15 bucks. And obviously, you know, I always like to have conservative estimates, and it can always go higher, always go lower based on more fundamental news, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. So short term, we're gonna see a lot of resistance at $4, and then a lot of resistance at $4.80. Then short term, our goal is to stand on top of $5 and convincingly play between $6.40 and here. So that, what I mean convincingly, let's not see this, right? We want to see, even if it's okay if we see some of this, right, and regress, but we want to bounce. And that's when we can start looking at those long-term targets. And like I said, for long-term targets, since we saw 4 to 5x back here, going off of the chart analysis, just the TA, right? We're going to get into fundamentals here in a second. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw something between, you know, $12 and $15 end of cycle. But that's what I'm seeing on technical analysis. Let's dive into some more fundamentals here about Enjin. So first thing I want to cover is just how big and legit this company is, okay? You know, when you see it on Coinbase, you see $3, you only see a few billion market cap, you're like, wow, this is a small project. Some of you guys might say that, to some it's a bigger project, but it's a huge company, okay? They have a massive following. They have a lot of projects that they're working on in addition to what they have going on at the parent company. And just look at the career page, right? Like, they're hiring a ton. They're hiring marketing specialists, support specialists, social media managers, QA engineers, full stack engineers, business intelligence analysts. You don't do this unless you have a serious roadmap, unless you have serious investment, and those investors see a product market fit that they're willing to put millions of dollars into, okay? So I mean, each one of these you see, this is, you know, a few $100,000 potentially of investment behind getting these positions up and running. So just wanted to mention that. And along with that, we're seeing them getting mentioned in the news more and more. Here's a Forbes article talking about the way Enjin is kind of positioning themselves in the market, talking about the opportunity, and this is kind of satirical, but it is a positive article, even though it kind of sounds negative. But it talks about how you know, they are you know, basically aligning themselves to be in a perfect position to ride the metaverse trend. So awesome article. I can put the link in the description below, but just something that's really, really cool to hear about them. And the other thing I wanted to just touch on, like I said before, is that they have a lot of side projects and a lot of subsidiary projects that they're working on. So one is called Affinity.io. This is supposed to kind of help support in the infrastructure of NFTs and other projects on Polkadot. So going to be really, really cool, because as, you know, Polkadot increases in popularity, so will this Enjin product. So just wanted to mention that as well. And this is probably the most interesting piece of news that I have for you guys. So they recently announced a $100 million Affinity Metaverse Fund. So this is money that they're going to put into helping build the infrastructure and the ability to scale for a lot of these metaverse games. And what's so cool about this business model, guys, is that you are kind of deferring a lot of the risks to these players, right? So if you are the one kind of building the infrastructure to support the games, you're not taking on the risk of any individual game's success. You're just playing the market and playing the trend. So Enjin's in a good space here to kind of play this metaverse and gaming trend without having the kind of risk of just literally falling off the map like any one of these games could do at any moment. So this is why I'm so excited about Enjin. I think it's a great way to bet on the metaverse, great way to bet on crypto gaming. But this is just so exciting because they have a lot of funding coming in. They have a smart team, and they're a big company. I mean, they're growing over 100 employees now. So it's a legit project, and just really, really excited for what's to come for them. And that's really all I have for you guys today. Hope that it provided some value. Please drop a like. That's